Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alliance live show number 85. Rocking and rolling all week long. We happen to have a very awesome group of live show hosts tonight, and we're going to get going here in a moment. I just wanted to explain to you guys why we're doing this on a Monday night instead of a Sunday night. Just felt a little under the weather yesterday, so we're going to go tonight instead. So I hope some of you guys that normally make the stream will be able to check it out with us live. If not, it'll always be the replay. But as usual, I'm joined by my co-host and the co-hostess with the mostest, good old Maurice. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Good. Excellent. So Maurice is not on camera tonight because he doesn't feel pretty. But we do have we have Avinash with us as well. How you doing, Avi?
I'm doing great, thank you.
And from the Reality Skewed Gamers channel and weekly live show, as well as the Jedi Academy with me on Saturdays, we do have RangerJ1999 with us as well. How you doing, Ranger?
Howdy.
So lots of interesting stuff. We just found out today that General Grievous, his rework is coming, and we got a first look at it from on T101's video. So let's kind of dive into that a little bit here and get everybody's initial reactions. And do you hate it? Do you love it? What do you think, Maurice?
It's pretty looks pretty good, and we got to see the rest of the reworks to really put it all together. But it's looking to be real nice. Lots of and just with him and B2 alone, you're getting lots of turn meter because these characters are relatively slow, so you're getting lots of turn meter, lots of ways to fuel the team, lots of debuffs. His leadership, looks to kind of negate a lot of things that are meta right now. All the crit avoidance going around pretty much neutralizes any use. Dark Side Bastila has, if there's any left, that's now gone too. It's interesting. It looks to be pretty overpowered, but we'll see. Hopefully, it's just another rock, paper, or scissor, and it's not just we're not transitioning from one, basically everyone using Revan to everyone using Grievous. I hope there is a little bit of mix. I hope it doesn't completely change things, but I hope it just added a little flavor, I guess. We'll see.
Yeah, he looks to be pretty awesome. I mean, honestly, when I first saw the kit, I was a little bit discouraged by it because I've been waiting a long time for a General Grievous rework, and I was really expecting a little bit more. But from the videos that we saw and from really the interactions with some of the newer characters, like, for example, Droidica, the rework to B2, B1, he could really, turn some heads, I think. It could be a really interesting, rework. Now, I happen to have Grievous almost there. He's at gear 11, 2 pieces away from being gear 12, which I'll probably have later tonight, tomorrow at some point. But what are your guys' thoughts? What do you think, Abby?
Oh, I'm so excited about this. It's hard to say because honestly, all we've kind of seen is the CG video on this, and nobody's really been able to be able to work it out in detail. But it looks awesome. It's going to be nice to see something different other than Revan. I really sincerely hope that it's true. I would love to see more variety in the arena. I'm excited. Stoked.
Ranger, as you get your thoughts in, we also have a question for you.
Oh no, if it's the Eternal Twins, just tell them to piss off.
Hey, Fane Kyrell, piss off.
I'm not even looking at chat and I already knew. I felt through the Force, I felt that.
Thank you very much for the donation. But
Nice try thing. He knows that I'm doing my schoolwork right now, and I'm busy with my ass and elbows in this paper I'm writing, trying to get this turned in, and it's like, no.
What do you think about Grievous?
Well, I think it's cool. I like the kit. This claim that I'm seeing that, this is the end of Jedi Knight Revan. Get the heck out of here. His kit's really good, and I think the droids are going to be good. But when you look at that lineup that she's there from the footage from CG, in any meta, there are counters to the meta. However, the difference is what can last better on defense and keep you up in the top echelon, more where you're not climbing so much. CLS can beat Revan. Trade teams with Darkside Bastila can beat Revan. So the fact that the droid meta can beat Revan, it doesn't do anything. Will this overtake Revan? I don't think so. I mean, I think Revan's here to stay. Now, what this kit does is give you another viable option on the team, and I think it's really good. Problem is, if you leave it on defense, these are the things that I look at when a team gets reworked and it comes out. How well does it hold on defense? Because if Revan can just go in there and wipe the floor with them because the AI does stupid things, then it's just another team that can counter Revan, which is good. It gives diversity in the meta. It gives you something else to work on. The thing is, newer players are not going to have this unless they make a huge investment. Why? Unlike us old fogies, and I'm one of them, I have Magma Guard 7-star. I have B2 at 7-star. I have Grievous at 7-star. The only two I don't is Droidica and B1. But all other droids that are in my lineup are 7 stars minus B1 right now. Droidica will come out and, but Grievous, Magna, B2, they're all like, for me, I think they're gear 9, 10 right now. I haven't done anything with them because I'm still waiting to see. So, does this help? Yes. And I like that they've made Grievous better. And I think his kit looks really fantastic, and I like what they've done. And I like the fact that droids are really good now, it looks like. But let's not go cray-cray here, folks. I've seen it too many times, and I know you guys have. We've been doing this for a long time, where the new shiny comes out, and we're like, oh, they can beat anything. They can beat the... It's like, no, stop. I remember when someone put out a video, Night Sisters kills Revan. Great.
Hey, man, that was us.
No, that wasn't you. It was somebody else I saw. It wasn't you guys.
That's a good point. I mean, this is not a feasible team. Especially if we don't ever need these separatists for any sort of legendary event. This is a hard team to suggest to anyone with less than like 3 million GP. I mean, these are not characters you need anywhere else. They're extremely difficult to gear. They're going to be difficult to mod too. Like they're all going to take very specific mods. Like B1's going to take pretty specific B1 mods. Grievous, as we saw in the video, his damage is going to be purely based off max health. So you're going to need health primaries across the board, 16% with health secondaries. Crit chance. He doesn't need offense. He really doesn't need potency. So I mean, you need very specific mods. You're going to have a lot of secondary stats go to waste. So I mean, it's a tough team to build. Looks pretty good though in that video.
It looks really good, and I think it will be able to kill Revan, but it's looking at a lot of other teams. What is its viability in other things? How good is it against other teams? We don't know what the counter for this is going to be. You want to think also like just PvP. Is this team going to be for territory wars, offense or defense? Can it even be used for offense or defense? Grand Arena. There's a lot of different ways that you got to look at this. Like, okay, where am I going to use droids? And how effective are they going to be? I think they're going to be very effective, but offense or defense, maybe this is the team that you keep for offense that you can use to kill Revan. And then use your other teams. It gives you some freedom now to use some of your other teams for other counters. So there's a lot of different things that we're still up in the air in, about where this meta is going to go and what it's going to go all in curtail and lead, for our rosters. Grievous himself, I mean, this is a great point. I forget how just god-awful that farm is. These are not easy farms, guys. They are not. So if you don't have any of these characters close, stay on target. Just stay on target. Unless it shows that this is a meta-defining lineup, then, I would not. I mean, give you another stat. 1,000 Carbantes. If you got them, great. If not, have fun.
Yeah. See you next September.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, Nathaniel Morgan makes a good point, too. Grievous takes 2 of the left side med packs and then two furnaces on the right side, those 6,500 health. Like, if you guys really want to get the most out of Grievous, you're going to need all 4 of those pieces on him. That's a lot of health. You're missing out. A lot of damage you're missing out on. Durability, all sorts of stacking elements in his kit. You're missing out a lot on him if you don't have at least those 4 pieces. So that's...
Yeah, I've been saving my gear, and I see a lot of green that my itchy finger wants to touch on other characters, but I am doing my best not to.
Yeah, and DSP makes a good point here, which is actually something I was going to bring up too, is that at the very least, whether he's meta-defining an arena or not, we definitely have the ability to use another team for both TW and GA. All right, so you're going to be able to now have a counter that can beat Revan in Grand Arena and Territory Wars, and that's a pretty big deal. I mean, even though, again, it's going to be behind a paywall for now, they're now bringing 3 characters back into the fold that were pretty much useless for the longest time now. So Grievous, B2, Magna Guard, we're definitely not in anybody's TW or GA lineups. So now you have the ability to take these 3 characters. I mean, whenever you're able to attain B1 and Droidica, which will be a few months down the line for most of us, you're going to have a pretty solid team that you can use in other areas like these competitive areas like Grand Arena and TW. So, I mean, it benefits these other 3 characters because, again, it's not taking away from any other team. It's not like we're just getting another Jedi leader or another Sith leader that's going to eat into the existing Sith that we already have, because you're going to be sitting there kind of like with the Jedi, right? Because you have the ability to run a Bastila lead or a Jedi Revan lead, and then you think to yourself, like, what team are you going to use for both? So how are you going to split it up? Are you going to use Grandmaster Yoda with Revan, obviously, and you're going to use Jolie Bindo with Bastila. You're going to use him with Revan. Who are you going to use General Kenobi with? It's not really eating into an existing lineup. You're going to be taking characters that were pretty much coming from the ground up now into relevancy again, and that's pretty cool. Thank you for the donation, by the way, DSP. But yeah, I mean, it's cool in that regard. I mean, so. How is it going to hold on defense? We'll have to wait and see. I kind of feel like Ranger does, that it's not going to be very great on defense. I don't think it's going to trump the Revan meta, and because of the fact that it can beat Revan, I'm pretty sure Revan's still going to be able to beat this team as well, because it wasn't winning convincingly. Even in the videos I saw, it didn't look like like the droids were coming out with full health and protection against this Revan team. So. I'm pretty sure that on offense, you'll still be able to win with a Revan team. And, most people are going to favor that faction anyway because they're more readily available. More people have it right now. And a lot of the 2 of the characters at least are going to be behind a paywall. My main concern, my main thought is, what does this mean for the other droids? Now, I know that obviously this 5 with the Separatists are going to be what they're trying to package together for us to consume. That's going to be the best possible combination. But for those of us that don't necessarily have the ability to get Droidica or get B1 up to, let's say, 7 stars within the next couple months, how will this rework to Grievous, B2, and Magna Guard affect the ability to put together another droid team that doesn't necessarily have those 2 characters? I mean, do you think we'll still be able to put together a team with 2 other droids that'll be good? I mean, do you think Jawa Engineer will get kind of taken out of the dust here too and put back into a lineup? Do you think he could have some relevancy?
I think so. I think Java Engineer will help out those without the really high secondary speeds, because this team is really slow pretty much out of the gate. I don't know Droidica's base stats, but B1 is going to be the fastest, right? And the rest of them are very slow characters. B2 doesn't really need speed because he's going to get lots of turn meter, but they might be slow out of the gate, and Java Engineer might be able to help you get out and get that edge, and get you to go first. BB-8 as well is an option you could use to kind of speed your team up. Don't know how good BB-8 is going to be on the team, but I mean, I guess it's really difficult to talk about without seeing the kits for this Droidica, which looked to have, Arnold mentioned, some sort of invincibility, some sort of buff like that in this video. It's got some sort of element where it's like immune to damage. So, I don't really know the kit for that. IG-100, I don't, it's tough.
Yeah.
Do you think like because one of the droids that doesn't really have much of a spot is T3.
Yeah.
T3, is actually a very good droid. It's just the poor thing just really doesn't have a place to be. L337, of course, works the best with the scoundrels, but there's a possibility of L3, being able to split that up or onto a droid team or not. But it's going to be interesting to mix and match and see what we come up with.
Ranger, there's Affinity sighting in the chat.
Well, he sucks.
So what are your thoughts, Ranger?
I mean, we've hit on it. I mean, so we're looking at one of the things I'm going to address too is we're looking at this. It's just a purely Clone Wars droid lineup, as we've seen time and time again. How is this going to affect, since he's a separatist, the other separatists? We haven't even considered Grievous with other separatists or other lineups or other characters and stuff like that. So, I mean, who would have ever thought Finn C-3PO would be what it was when it happened? Or some of these other things that have come forward. Like, I didn't see that. The community is really great at being creative and really testing things out and coming up with these lineups. You're like, okay. So, I mean, the best thing, and I think we keep saying this over and over again, just wait and see. I mean,
yeah.
I've looked at his kit and it looks pretty disgusting. The droids together, I think, as a group, and CG's been pushing this more cohesions with certain factions, right? So, for instance, Rebels with 3PO and stuff now with CLS and Han and Chewie, the First Order, Resistance, they have a better overall working together. Revan with Sith, Revan, they work together as a group with the faction tags that they're for them specifically. So I think the positive we can take from this, droids are better. I think we can all agree droids are better. How good are they as compared to some of the other lineups? I don't know. We have to test out Grievous versus JTR, Grievous versus the Rebels, Grievous versus Sith. How does that stack up with those kind of teams? Can it beat it? Can it not beat it? What's the consistency if it winning? Does it hold against defense against those teams? Those are a lot of the questions we don't know.
Well, there's characters like Count Dooku that have anti-Jedi traits.
Yeah.
So if you do not have Droidica or you do not have IG-100, you could probably use Count Dooku as a fill-in, temporarily. I mean, where else are you using Dooku? Like, you could throw him in there. A lot of people have the Geonosians for their ships. Well, I mean, they're not great. I mean, putting Sunfac on any team isn't going to hurt the team. It's not going to hurt. I mean, he is a separatist ally, so he will fuel a little bit of the benefits and get a little benefits from the separatist tag. So there are. That's a good point. I mean, it's a big faction now. You got Asajj. Asajj is a character everyone probably has. You could probably at least put it in there temporarily. Get you an AOE dispel, get rid of that foresight. Kind of open things up. So you can hit everybody at least. The Asajj is a good pick too. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be fun. But again, because I've been playing for so long, like Ramon said, I've got these characters 7-star. I just need a little bit of gear. This is not a team I would probably start from scratch. Not right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a long haul even back then. But I remember on a couple accounts that Grievous was the last tune that I got 7 stars. I just couldn't stand doing it because he was so bad.
I mean, if you guys are a long ways away from this team, just remember that we do have that second KOTOR wave kind of still looming. So, you know, if you need lots of stuff to make this team happen, you might want to sit on it for now and see what's coming down the pipe in a month or so. Because you definitely don't want to put all your eggs in this basket and then like spend all your crystals on the gear, getting all these characters ready, this and that, and then poof, here comes like Darth Malak, Darth Revan, some sort of character. I feel
like there's a trick going on here.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, it's the Chewie thing all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, this is a redirect. You know what I mean? Kind of like, you know, I mean, you know, normally we get a Sith this month or a KOTOR character. We didn't get one, but you know, they also didn't release the characters, right? Like I would have thought by now that Juhani would have been farmable. I feel like
Juhani and Karth,
yeah.
I feel like they're holding them for a reason, right? Like there's a reason that they're saving to release these characters to free to play, because, you know, obviously the longer they wait on that, the
more panic farm,
more of a panic farm that we'll have, yeah.
Well, you're already seeing it. They've already got a pack in the store just for B2, and B2 is a readily available character, pretty relatively easy farm. But, you know, if you're newer to the game, you sure as hell haven't been farming B2 as a priority at a cantina, right? So, here, take these 80 shards for $15 and just get yourself a nice head start. You know, so maybe they'll get their money from this just via microtransactions, people buying all that ridiculous gear that you need. If you guys don't have any stun cuffs, you're nowhere close to having this team ready. Like, you know, this team takes a ton of stun cuffs, ton of carbonis, ton of stun guns, and then lots of real common things like they all take the same stuff, like those MK4 back to gels, the shield generators, the faction, the separatist faction, the droids all kind of take the same gear. So I mean, yeah, it's going to be a grind for the gear.
I mean, I just saw Nathaniel Morgan's comment about it, troopers. I mean, with all the P1s died, troopers are going to be going, wee, wee. Oh my god! I mean, if I was a troopers, you know, I'd be like, "Hello, B1, AOE, okay, AOE, okay, AOE, okay," and just keep going again and again and again. So, you know, there's still a lot of left in the air. But I think it's time that they did rework it, and I'm glad they did, because you cannot have a character like Grievous that's just that bad, as iconic as he is. And his kit, you know, it was just so awful up to this point.
I got Grievous back when it was like, when he was like still like the whale character. You know, I got him out of the shard shop while the shard shop was still the shard shop.
Yep.
But you know, he was never really good on his own. He just had his viability with other droids, and you know, that's kind of what I was hoping to get out of this. I was really just kind of hoping to see a lot of droid-related abilities, and it seems like the rework is really geared towards more of like a separatist kind of thing. So I think that the droid, not saying that Grievous won't be better now as a droid, because I think that whenever the time does come for, let's say, HK-47 and IG-86 and some of these other droids to get reworked, there may be another, you know, droid meta at some point, but I don't think that this is the droid meta. I think this is more of the separatist meta.
Poor 86. Yeah. Little fella's just the only guy left out now.
I know, yeah.
I know, but I mean, let's have a moment of silence for mob enforcers, shall we? I mean, should never been put in the damn game. IG-88. Oh, how about an IG-86? Why would you do that? You know, just stop it. You know, but they did.
it seems like all the bonuses are geared towards either separatist or dark side droids. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. I mean, I think that the droids will be better. Absolutely. I don't know if it's going to be so much better that I think that you're going to need like like these specific characters to make this team work. It's kind of like a Phoenix situation where, I mean, really only Ezra out of that team is usable outside of the Phoenix. I mean, I know, you know, good old Maurice is going to sit here and tell me all about Chopper, okay? But, and Chopper is good. I mean, don't get me wrong, he is good. He's a rebel and all that. But, I mean, for the most part, if you try to use any of those Phoenix characters outside of the Phoenix team, they really don't work as well as they do when they're all together, right? It's kind of a team that was built to be with each other. And that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from this, too, you know? So, we'll see.
No, I don't think Chopper's going to fit on this team. I know it's shocking, but I just don't really think he has much use on this team.
Poor Chopper.
Yeah.
I don't think
You try to use him. He has such potential, and you try to use him on various teams, and he just doesn't quite make it.
He doesn't make this team.
Yeah.
Because what are you gonna have? You're gonna have him, IG-100 and B2 hitting for about 2,500 damage on their basic attacks. Like you need somebody with a little something. He's not gonna.
A little more oomph.
Yeah.
We got a question from DSP before. I mean, I know you know we could ask that later, but being that it's relevant right now, he's asking about whether or not C-3PO will have any viability with General Grievous.
No. Well,
of course,
maybe.
yeah, he's a droid, and because of what 3PO does. I mean, 3PO, my God, he's good on so many teams now. I mean, you think about it with Resistance, Rebels, stuff like that. I mean, mix and match him with any of that kind of lineup, and you add him to the droids, I'm sure he would be a great addition. But in what team lineup would you use him with? I don't know.
But the droids, when they use these droids, are going to get the stacks of translation when they use a special ability, are they? With droids?
I don't think so. No.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, he'll be great, but he's just so much better on so many other teams. Like, it just, I don't think so. I think you're better off using a separatist, like, you know, we talked about a few minutes ago, than using C-3PO. Like, any separatist you have, probably a little better, just because he's so valuable. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, light side droids lose 16% health every General Grievous turn. That is something important to remember. We talk about Chopper, C-3PO. Somebody in chat mentioned R2 stealthing B1 earlier. Those are good tactics, but every turn Grievous takes, that's just going to suck down 16% health from those light side droids that aren't going to get the regeneration benefits from B1 because they're not separatists. So, yeah, B1's going to be pretty important for this team.
Speaking of B1, I want to talk a little bit about him. Obviously, he's been released into the game since last week, and we didn't really get a chance to touch on him much in this chat here, even though he's part of this team. What are your guys' thoughts on B1 as just an individual character? I mean, you guys think he's going to be
Roger?
Well, B1 is zombie light. He's the Diet Coke of this idea. I really like B1's kit. It was very unique. So this is the kind of stuff, the creative stuff I like that CG does. It was different. It was unique, and it was very much in line with what the character was, right? And I like the kit a lot, and I think it gives a lot of diversity and uniqueness to the droids. And I like the way how they did him, you know? And I think he's a great addition to the droid lineup. I think the rework, I think they've done I'd give them a really high mark overall with the reworks and the characters they've added with the Droideka, the B1, but B1 especially, really very, very clever what they did with how B1s were used in the Clone Wars, and then taking that concept and then putting it in the game the way it did. I think it's a very unique kit, and I think it's a fun kit because he's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with, no doubt about it. So I'm a big fan of it.
I really like the fact that I mean, first of all, it looks like he does a lot of damage.
Yes.
And, you know, I like that the animation is like that they call in multiple other droids, and it's an area of effect attack. It's kind of like just it's pretty much indicative of what you know of these droids, you know, is that they kind of all attack in a group, and that makes sense. But, yes, very much like zombie-esque, you know, has the ability to revive. A lot of people were asking when the kit first dropped if mod-wise you need anything other than offense, right? Because, I mean, you know, you're not going to need health, right? Because the character doesn't have any health. So, I mean, it's
damage on this baby.
Yep, it's going to take some major tweaking on several level, you know, for mods for quite a while, because it's very specific. You know, you don't want mods that have like a lot of health and stuff like this, which is what, you know, a lot of secondaries have. And it's just going to take a while to be able to get that offense that you want. It's very specific. So I know I was having a heck of a time trying to mod mine just to do a basic on it.
Where's your B1 at, Abby? You're the whale of the chat here. You and Maurice.
That's what I say. Well, it's me.
I'm not actually. Well, I'm not a whale, but
what a whale wants. What a whale.
Yeah,
wants.
Actually, I'm logging in right now to see where I'm at.
Maurice.
I think I have a 7-star in what account, but that's because I have somebody who likes to put some money on there for me.
Sugar Daddy bought me a B1.
Okay, yes, I do. Okay.
Sugar Daddy got me a B1.
I have a 5-star and a 4-star. So I have not wailed or anything on it at all. I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens.
I would imagine that Maurice already has a 7-star B1.
4-star. He is gear 10, and then I realized I need 150 stun cuffs to get to gear 11. I'm like, fresh out of those.
Right.
Maurice is a circumstantial whale. So like what happens is, like, you know, occasionally, you know, an Emphy's nest will come out or something like that, and you know, some
B1 is no Emphys nest Mother Talzin. B1,
right.
I don't. Yes.
Emphys nest is the only one that I've ever wailed on, ever. On any game. And I haven't even seen the movie yet, by the way. Haven't even seen the movie. I know.
It's on Netflix. Okay, log off right now and go watch
it. So, but I was so enthralled with the Emphys Nest character in the gameplay that I went all whale on it. And that's the only character that I have. Otherwise, you know, my big expense is I spend $50 a month. That's it. That's my limit right there.
I am definitely a beached whale. That's what I am. Yes. I used to swim with the fishes, but now I'm just kind of kicking it back on the beach.
Gotcha.
I wailed on Ahsoka Tano. I did.
Yeah.
Malia Bean in the chat. Malia Bean signing in the chat. What's going on, my friend?
Malia Bean.
Malia Bean is in the chat right now. Yeah, he's watching the stream.
Oh,
science.
With his pseudo name, his honeypot. his honeypot real name.
His honeypot real name. What's up, man?
What's up, Malia? Miss you, man. But yeah, I if they, you know, listen, if I could wail on Ahsoka Tano again, I would. You know. She's a great character. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I feel like B1's really good. I just feel like, you know, again, it's one of those things where it's not a character that makes me, you know, want to just take my wallet out, you know? And,
right. Yeah, I agree.
You know, we'll see. You know, we're still, you know, like we said, within the midst of a possible, Molly wants to know if you have an alarm to reset. Good old Maurice.
Yes.
Yeah. As far as that goes, I believe we're really close to getting some other KOTOR character, okay? And I think that there's a reason that they're holding off on dropping Juhani and Karth into free-to-play. So they're holding on to these characters for a reason. I think that if the cadence was being followed by now, they would have already been released. Because, you know, characters, Canderous and Dark Bastila were released pretty much right before them, and Dark Bastila and Canderous, I'm almost 7-star with both of those characters. So I think that we're going to probably get a drop here pretty soon after we get through all this Clone Wars stuff. And when that happens, you can probably expect within a couple of weeks after that, we'll get some sort of an event. And again, this is just speculation, so there's no facts here, but that's just my gut on it. And usually we're pretty on point with this stuff. I mean, you know, they don't tell you, but they pretty much telegraph a lot of these things for you. And you know, I think they're trying to get better at not doing that because they want to, you know, kind of have the element of surprise on you. But I do believe that there is something coming for sure. But yes, he should be administering throat examinations. No, he's a liver doctor. No, he's not. He's got he specializes in the kidney doctor. Sorry, kidney doctor. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for B1. We're gonna do our meta report now. So let's get into that. And guess what, Revan?
Shocking.
Absolutely shocking. I think Molly Bean should log back into the game and just wail on all the KOTOR characters to get Revan and then quit again.
Right.
Yes, that's what I think you should do.
Look at that Pac-Man. Gobble, gobble, gobble.
Yeah.
And Grievous will come out. Everyone will invest 6 Zetas. It will even out next week, and then 2 weeks later it'll just be gobble, gobble, gobble. Jedi Knight Revan again. It's just like, it's gotcha.
Yeah, it's pretty much a Revan meta, so nothing's changed. What is interesting though is there's still some Finn up there, so people are still rocking the Finn. I wonder how
change
long,
hasn't come out yet. Has it?
No, it hasn't. But I mean, I'm wondering how long that's going to last. If
1 week.
If I were a Finn user, I'd be looking for alternatives right now.
3 days. So
the clock is ticking, Finn guys. Your window of opportunity is getting ever thinner. And Harrison Dula, 4 people out there, rank 1 with Harrison Dula. God bless you guys.
Yeah, I'm one of the 13 Bastilas on one account. I'm still rocking the Bastila.
Still rocking. You're one of the 13 Bastilas at rank 1, huh?
Yep.
Word.
Okay. Well, that's representing right there. Representing. 16 Mauls at rank 1. Guys rocking that Maul. All right, let's move on to the top 10 squad members at rank 1, and we have Revan, Yoda, Bindo, Kenobi, and Bastila. Pretty much the whole pie. And actually, Chewbacca has moved up, so Chewbacca's right behind Bastila now. So Chewbacca is the next most used character. So, and then after that, it's Hermit Yoda. That's interesting.
I see a lot of Hermit Yodas on my chart just because I guess the people that got Revan this go around don't quite have enough Zetas for Jolie or don't have Jolie quite developed. So Hermit Yoda is definitely a suitable fill-in for that 5th spot. People use Chewbacca on the Revan teams too to climb, so I could definitely see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's pretty much just indicating that there's alternatives to the Jedi team. So, for the majority of the people, it's Revan, Yoda, Bindo, Kenobi, and Bastila. But there are a few people out there, a few interesting people, that just want to throw in a Chewie or a Hermit Yoda instead. Whether it be, you know, just because they don't have the other characters, or just because they want to throw a little bit more flavor into their lineup.
Well, I mean, Hermit Yoda instead of Bastila is a Hermit Yoda on that team is for climbing, and then it's a really good offensive team that you can invest in. So it makes total sense.
Yep. That's
science.
That's our top 10 squad members at rank 1. Molly Bean wants to know where the farm boy Luke Zeta is on the list, Maurice.
It is right behind Darth Sion.
Hey, I could join you on that, good old Maurice, because I had to Zeta that turd this weekend because we raised money for it.
The leadership or the unique?
The leadership.
Oh,
wow.
Poor fella.
So,
at least I got the
good one. I did not, but Finn had to do it too. So, haha, suck it, Finn.
Oh, so he's got that Rose Tico and Farm Boy Zeta?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
The things we do for charity, I tell you.
Hey, listen,
Rose Tico?
Listen, my Bodhi Rook Zeta is still sitting there at the bottom of my roster too. So. I know what that's all about. But what?
It's funny because Finn made it to where if we hit 2,000, he would do it. So Rose Taco, big supporter of it, immediately went in there and immediately bought that. It was like, suck it, Finn. That made it worth me doing it because Finn's agony was gorgeous. I'm sorry. I had to mention that.
So for ships, again, it's pretty much the same as the last couple of weeks. You know, either it's the Houndstooth or the Millennium Falcon or Biggs Darklighter's X-Wing. And then it's everybody else. You know, Home One is also on there, obviously as the leader or the capital ship. And besides that, if you don't have the Millennium Falcon, you're running Chimera and Grand Admiral Thrawn and just hoping to Christ. That's pretty much the top 10 squad members for ships. I was kind of hoping that we would see Palpatine's ship on here, but I guess there's just not that many people that have. Sorry.
It's I find that it's not that good right now. You really need to have a better team. You got to have a capital ship to go with it, because right now, I mean, I have maxed out everything, and it's crap. With a Sith team, or I've tried different combinations and everything, and I've tried Chimera and Tarkin. It lasts like everybody can take it down in like 30 seconds, and I'm like, well, forget this.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to wait. But honestly, it needs a really good capital ship to tie it all in.
It makes sense.
Agreed.
All right, let's go to the top 10 reinforcements. And again, it's really the story about the Phantom 2, Cassian's U-Wing, and the Ghost. And for those
Cassian's U-Wing.
It's the best reinforcement ability in the game. I mean, if anybody, any ship that had that ability would be number 1. So I mean, like, it's not even like it has anything else. It's just that literally, I mean, if you think about the Phantom, it's not really a flashy ship, right? It doesn't really do much damage. It doesn't really have a ton of benefits. The main thing is that it reduces the cooldowns of the capital ship. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, Cassian's U-Wing, on the other hand, is up there.
Amazing.
And not only for its reinforcement ability, but Cassian's U-Wing is just a great ship. I mean, it calls it assist. It does decent damage. It's a good
stealth, removes debuffs. It target locks. It's nasty. I mean, it puts nasty down and target lock on the target, and you're like, yay, thank you for my silencer.
Yeah, I love it.
A lot of people were sleeping on Cassian's U-Wing when it first came out. People thought it wasn't a good ship, but it is.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you kind of, as the meta changed and things started happening, you're like, so, okay, I can use this somewhere now.
I remember that was one of the ships that I had first worked on, and people were like, oh, don't work on that. That's really not that useful. But I have always used it on a team, on a reinforcement in every meta that I've had because I love that ship, and now it shines, and I'm like, woo, yay! I finally did something right.
It's definitely safe. It's definitely a safe. It's always going to be relevant. That reinforcement ability is just too useful. So I mean, if you guys are investing in that, just for this specific meta, you are investing in a ship that you'll be able to use, hopefully forever.
Yeah.
So it's not like some of these other ones.
And it's an easy ship to get.
Yeah.
Also, it's not faction specific, right? So.
No. You talking about Cassian?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Cassian dispels everybody. And people were using it in the previous Mace meta. It's just ragtag, just like half bounty hunter, half clone teams. Like,
yeah, it can be used in any of the ship lineups that you put in.
Yeah,
it started in lineup. I see people using it in the opening with the MILF combination. I see people using it as first reinforcements for their, standard Thrawn, big, TIE fighter silencer team. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can use it. You mentioned the Old Republic. I mean, it's that good.
What I'm always interested to see is how many Bistons U-Wings are up there. Because, these people probably have, rank 1, probably most of them have Gear 12 Bistons. And it's just fun to see that there's that many Gear 12 Bistons out there. I love
Biston. I love my Biston ship.
He's great. He's really the most irrelevant character in the Star Wars history of all time.
I'll switch him out on the beginning in the front lineup, and then I'll put him in with Cassian in reinforcement sometimes.
Yeah.
If you want to use him at starting lineup, though, it's really a race to see who's got all the pieces of Gear 12, who's got all the. You really have to put the 6C mods on Biston. While I love Biston, that just makes me want to vomit putting 6C mods on him. If he's not going first, you kind of lose. You lose the usefulness of having Biston in your starting lineup. Like, you got to have at least, on my chart, I think you got to have at least 151 speed on that ship to consider going, and that's all 6 of the Gear 12 pieces and a few sporadic 6E mods. It's tough. It's a great ship, but it is the gear is a little ridiculous for that ship.
Didn't you guys see that Star Wars special about Rogue One where? Like all the behind the scenes stuff was based around like the Biston and Pow characters. Like, it was like you see them like behind the scenes, like they were really like emphasizing these characters and how they were going to be an important part of the movie. And then like
they did a big rollout where Biston the Biston costume came out on the stage. It did like a little pose, and it was just kind of doing his little thing,
Yeah.
Really?
There's a reason for that, and that's because the movie was cut differently than the director had originally made it. So a lot of the characters and stuff had less scenes like Biston and stuff like that than they had in the original cut. I mean, the whole ending was a little bit different too. And you can check that online, and you can see, like, if you remember from the trailers, you see Jen running with them with the AT shooting at them. She's got the thing in her hand. Totally different than how the movie ended. So they recut and changed it drastically from who's the director, Gareth Edwards' original plan for the ending and how that played out with the characters and things. So yeah, that's why you saw that, and why originally Biston and some of those characters were shown, because they had a little bit more of an impact in the story than they did when the final cut was made.
Yeah, because Biston has like about 5 seconds of screen time, and you're like, who's that? Yeah, and so do you think at the end that they didn't all turn into charcoal briquettes? Or,
I think they all still died, but it was different in how they presented it, right?
Right.
I wish we got to see. I wish we got to see that ending.
I wonder if they'll ever give a director's cut to let him have the movie cut that way, but LucasArts will never do that. And I'm still fine. Rogue One's still my favorite movie because I still think that last 30 minutes of that movie is the most epic thing ever. It's just so good. God,
it's one of my favorite ones. Absolutely, hands down.
It just, the only thing that, honestly, I agree with you. The ending is awesome. It really is. Okay, and when I was watching it in the theater, it gave me tingles and everything too. Okay, I was really excited to see Vader and all his glory and everything. But All it also did to me was make me realize like how ridiculous it is that there's no move. Like, why didn't they use him more? Like, why don't they have another? Why haven't they created another movie where
With Vader?
Yeah, like why?
Well, that's why that guy created the fan film, Shards of the Past, or whatever, the Vader film, which is absolutely the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. But I mean, I've watched that thing a million times, and I'm like, this is the kind of crap you should be doing, LucasArts. What the hell's going on there?
I mean, like, that's like literally. I mean, like, why are they not doing stuff like this? Like, why are they not like?
Yeah,
it's like they're literally trying to not give us what we want, which doesn't make any sense. Like, it's like, you know, it's like, you know, you could clearly rake it if they made a Vader movie, millions, billions. Okay, they'd make a lot of money, and I don't understand.
Why make billions when we can make millions?
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Like, what are you thinking? You know, like you're the most iconic character in all the story, and like, let's keep him in the movie for 5 seconds. You know, like you have these characters people love. I mean, the sales alone in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, people love Revan. There's zero. They don't do anything. They could have brought him into Clone Wars in the cartoon. They decided not to. They shelved it at the last minute. Like, why? Like, why not just do these things? Like, I mean, like, you know, all people want is old Sith and old Jedi, and these really serious like lore things, and like it's like they're trying to keep it very. I don't know. They're trying to keep it very like, you know,
mellow.
No, they're trying to keep, they think that people, like the normal person, like the average fan, like would not care about like the history of the Sith. And
honestly, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to cater to, quote, a new generation, trying to bring out new and hip things that people can be attracted to, but they don't realize that the standard is what people want. There's the icons and there's the standard, so you can do variations of it. But, you know, like you said, you know, if they do a Vader movie, it's like, oh my God, yes. Like, absolutely. This is what we want to see.
If they don't do something with Luke, okay, like, I mean, if Luke is just dead, okay, and he doesn't come back as like a super awesome Force ghost in the next movie or something, if Luke is just dead and they don't do like something in between episode 6 and episode 7 and have like somebody else come in as an actor and just kind of like a middle-aged Luke and just kind of show us like what he did. Like, you know, we got a couple of cutscenes in Battlefront 2 of him in that story, but there's I mean, it's just like, it's, to me, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, like, and it's like the stuff that they're doing with the new movies, it's just indicative of the things that we're talking about from these other movies. And it's like, I don't understand, like, any media, like, their Resistance is out now. I mean, like, I understand that there's a lot of other Star Wars stuff that you can create. You can create shows about, you know, just pilots. You can create shows about droids. You can create shows about Ewoks. You can do all these different things. Great. You can create a whole new story about all new aliens and all different stuff that has, you know, some of the Star Wars mythos behind it, right? But, you know, if you have your bread and butter already, and the people that are still around now paying the money for these tickets love this stuff, just do it. I promise you that I will make, you know, the people that are my friends go watch this movie with me, even if they don't care about the Sith, you know what I'm saying? Because to me, it's awesome, you know? So, I don't know. I think that they're misjudging, like, the some of the geeky stuff behind Star Wars and just trying to keep it like all like, you know, about like action and love and romance. And it's like, to me, like, that's like the stuff that no Star Wars fan cares about. Like, you know, like the least thing I care about in the old Star Wars story is about Han Solo and Princess Leia or that Luke triangle. Like, I don't care about that at all. Like, all I care about is, you know, Vader, Palpatine, you know, the Sith, you know, finding out
the basic storyline, not the little side romance or whatever else might be going on there. I want the meat of the story. That's what I want.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. Anyway, I'm done with my rant.
It was great, man. I'm like cheering you on, going, "Go, Remote, go!"
Yeah. No, you know what I mean? Like I said, there's just certain things that we all want to see, and it's like, I understand that, like, you know, we're not always going to get what we want, but can we just get a little bit of what we want? Just a little bit? I mean, just a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, you know, this next movie better be all fan service. It better be all fan service.
No. I Your lack of temerity is what fails you in your viewing of movies.
My only hope is that these guys who did Game of Thrones, you know, Benioff and Weiss, they're getting their own trilogy for Star Wars, and you know, being that they did a really great job with Game of Thrones, and they're really good at kind of putting to life some of these old school, like, you know, historic things from the book. I mean, they did a really good job, you know, with the first few books, like kind of putting George R.R. Martin's story on screen. I think that they could do the Old Republic justice if they were given the opportunity to take some of the stories from the Old Republic and put them on screen and maybe create a trilogy about Revan and kind of rewrite that story. That would be awesome.
I mean, there's a lot of different things coming out, you know, so we'll have to see what they are. We've got the Mandalorian coming out. I'm very interested in that. We've got the ending of the Clone Wars saga, which I'm super stoked about. There's, you know, you mentioned the series that those guys are working on. There's another series that's being worked on as well. So we'll see what they do. You know, I'd really like them to delve into some of those things as well. I mean, there's such a rich story arc in the EU that they can go with. You know, Darth Bane and Darth Serena. You can go with Darth Malgus in the Old Republic. You can go with Exar Kun. You can go with, I mean, just down the line.
I would take any of those stories. It would be awesome.
I'm afraid you'll get generic fan service.
And then we get stuff like Rose Tico.
Yeah, and they'll do they'll do none of it. They'll do none of that. It'll be a story about a pilot that fought his way through the Empire. You know, like I feel like some horrible tough upbringing story. Anyway, there's also the one thing I am looking forward to that they did create like post Lucas is the conclusion to what happened with Ezra and Thrawn. Like, I want to know what happened.
God, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That'll be interesting, you know. But all right, let's move on to our top 5 for the week. Top 5 unique Zetas. Okay, so we're going to go with the best Zetas on the unique abilities. So, Maurice, who do we have here at number 5?
Our good friend CLS.
People are going to hate you for this.
All things.
People are going to hate you for this.
Yes, CLS still holding on strong to the number 5 slot. The unanimous number 1 Zeta long ago. And it is one of the more readily equipped Zetas in the game. Most people have it if you do have CLS. It is a very, very good Zeta. It's just going to fuel turn meter for your team every time he does a debuff, and he does 2 debuffs on both his special and his basic. He's a countering lead, so he will counter, have a chance at more debuffs, so on and so forth. It's just a way to kind of give you small little chunks of turn meter to get your Han Solo going, to get your Chewbacca going, to get your C-3PO, your R2, your Beige, your Turrets, your Wigs, if you're still using those fellas. You know, all sorts of characters that just get little small chunks to get them going, kind of get you over the hump against some of the faster teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it binds all things is pretty much automatic Zeta. I mean, once you have CLS, this should be the first Zeta that you get. He has 3. And this is really the only one that you must have. Of the other with the other 2, I mean, they're both good. The leader's good, but I'd say it binds all things is the one that you really need to have. And obviously, him as a character is still very important in this game. He still is very important in TW, GW, GA, and lots of other areas. But I mean, it binds all things is up there with the best, and that's why it's number 5. So moving along to our number 4, we have Han Solo's shoots first. So this really just made this character from basically irrelevant to relevant. Okay, you know, he was a character that was really only used in the offset to stun a character at the start of an encounter because he went first. But he really, besides the amount of damage that he put out, he had a very flimsy health pool. He didn't have enough to really withstand the battle. He didn't do as much damage as he could because he didn't double attack at that time. And, you know, he just had pretty much a lacking kit. And since the addition of Shoots First, Han Solo is now an essential part of a Rebel team. And, you know, he just basically was just the most irrelevant legendary character in the game for the longest time. And until this Zeta, it kind of, you know, he kind of was just, you know, unusable. And now he's finally back on the map again. Again, he's not top tier meta at the moment, and that's why this Zeta isn't higher on the list. But he definitely, you know, became a ton better because of this Zeta. And, you know, obviously being able to shoot twice when you're calling in assists now with all these other assisting attacks with Chewbacca, with C-3PO, that just makes him all the more valuable. What do you think, Maurice?
Oh, for sure. Just the double tap alone is worth the Zeta. I mean, that's 2 chances to remove turn meter. I mean, he makes the list so often because of this Zeta. It's just you know, just the stacking crit chance means you don't have to put quite as much on him. You can focus more on damage. You know, you could even use like in a raid scenario, or like any real scenario. I mean, if you mod him correctly and just give yourself like crit chance secondary stats, you can almost neglect the 2-piece crit chance set because he has so much passive in his kit, and you can focus more on health. Right. You know, you give him more health. He does have lots of health steal. He goes twice, double tap, so that's 1 health steal, 2 health steal. Then he's usually paired with Chewbacca, so Chewbacca's going to give you even more health. So, you know, health is not a bad subset to go after because of the crit chance unique. It's characters like him I really do like the best in the game, the ones that stack a specific stat in their kits. That way you can neglect it in terms of modding and kind of go another direction. So, you know, it just kind of fills the character out, makes it a little easier to mod. So, yeah.
What about you, Ranger and Abby? What do you guys think?
I think I'm with Finn. Why is there a speed set on your Han?
Yeah, I was trying to look and see what I had on there. I've got crit damage and crit chance on mine. I don't know if I need to remod them, but
every time I do a top 5, I have to get rid of my characters.
Damn it, remon!
My characters and my mods all the time. It's just part of it. But it's fine.
All right, Finn, get in here and remod this crap.
But that's our number 4 unique Zeta in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Who do we have at number 3, Maurice?
All right, number 3 is going to be Revan, the hero unique. Revan is number 3 on this list. It's a very, very good Zeta. If you are using Revan, it is, you know, it should be equipped. But this is the one that gives the passive R2-like boost to your team. You know, I think it's tenacity, crit avoidance, maybe crit damage. I can't think of them all off the top of my head. Let me open it here.
It's tenacity, health, steal, max health, max protection, critical avoidance, defense, and critical damage.
Well, and the health and protection are important because every time you attack out of turn, you're going to regenerate protection. So the more protection you have, the better. And then, of course, you got Jolie, who's just fueling tons of health. And also Revan has a healing move. We mentioned some people do use Hermit Yoda. That's going to make his heals even better. And then, of course, it does make Revan immune to stun and ability block, which is very, very important. Because if, for instance, you could just take Han Solo, who we just talked about, shoot first and stun Revan. So that this Zeta immediately eliminates that counter. Something to also, like, I know a lot of people have just gotten Revan. They might not have the 3 Zetas on him. So if you are climbing, you do want, if you see a Revan with 1 or 2 Zetas, check out to see which Zetas are missing. If they are missing hero, then you could potentially bring in Han Solo and stun Revan out of the get-go. or ability block in. Multitude of ways to do that, but just very, very good unique. Both his uniques are good. This one I feel is the better ones. I didn't want to list 2 Revan uniques on here. It's not very exciting, but so yeah, Hero is definitely one that you want on your Jedi team.
Yeah, I mean, he's immune to stun and ability block. That's, I mean, just for starters.
That's huge.
That's huge. Those are 2 of the biggest debuffs slash hindrances in the game, and you know, obviously giving bonuses to the team and himself. Especially all those bonuses. I believe when the kit first dropped, Maurice, forgive me if I'm wrong. Wasn't this 20%? Wasn't it higher? Wasn't it like 15% or 20%? I believe they lowered it to release the character because it was too OP.
Maybe. I don't remember. It's been a while since. I feel like they did make some sort of tweak to the Jedi last second. I don't remember, but it is cut in half. You can use him if he's not in the leader slot, and it's cut in half. That's kind of silly. I've yet to see an effective Jedi team with Revan as a support character. Like the team would be better with Revan as the lead. So that's kind of silly to add that, but who knows? You know, it does affect all light side allies, so there might be some hybrid KOTOR maybe team we don't know yet. You know, maybe that he could fill in as a support unit. I'm not sure, but you know, we'll see.
We'll see. But that's our number 3 unique Zeta in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Moving along to our number 2 unique Zeta in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, we have Enfys Nest. Now, being that this is your homegirl, Maurice, I'm going to let you take this one.
Well, this Zeta just becomes more and more useful now with the introduction of Grand Arena, because Nest, you can, especially in the 3v3 tournaments, excuse me, you can literally go in with Nest alone and just wipe out a multitude of teams with Nest by herself, and that's very important. It will pick you up a couple extra points. And the higher up you get, the more you start noticing that these battles really come down to I've had battles that come down to 20 points or less. So every point matters. There's some that it's come down to literally a point or two. I've seen, I've tied a match. Had I used Nest by herself instead of in a 3v3 comp, I would have won. So, I mean, this Zeta on Nest allows her to ignore taunt, which is fantastic. She's a countering character. So if a character attacks, and she's countering, she dispels, she ignores taunt, she has like a health steal, which is incredibly useful for that soloing the opposing Grand Arena team, because they'll get her down health, and then that protection bar will just stack. She'll counter and just fill her health bar all the way up. So it's very, very good Zeta. If you have Nest, you should definitely have this Zeta. This Zeta is one of the best in the game. It will always be viable, much like Han's Shoot First. It's one that's always going to be useful and always be a good thing to have in your roster.
Yeah, I mean, just the ignoring taunt bit on the Zeta alone is worth the Zeta, to be honest with you. But adding the 2% health steal, like Maurice said, just allows her to fill up her health back again on, especially later in the battle as it stacks throughout the encounter. So I mean, she's just really a big bruiser in this game because of this Zeta and this unique ability overall. And I mean, why Enfys Nest has this? Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, this is kind of a Geonosian soldier situation where you have a character that's pretty much irrelevant in the Star Wars mythos, but is now one of the best characters in the game because of the way that they rolled out her kit. She does look cool, and she's probably one of the cooler characters from the Solo story. But again, it would have been cool to see something like this or a kit like this on maybe a different character. But that's Enfys Nest in a nutshell and her unique fighting instinct Zeta. So we're going to move on to the number 1 unique Zeta in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and you probably guessed it. It's Lord of Betrayal, Darth Traya. So Darth Treya, with her unique, basically takes health from the opponent. So basically, I mean, besides the fact that, you know, she's got so many other things going on with her kit. I mean, she's got one of the most exhausting kits to read in the game. I mean, it's like a book to read Treya's kit, kind of like Revan. So when an ally suffers a debuff, Treya gains plus 10% bonus protection, stacking until the end of her next turn. At start of each turn, or start of each Sith ally's turn, Treya dispels all debuffs on them and deals damage equal to 5% of their max health for each debuff dispelled. So basically, this basically renders all debuffs useless against a Treya team. So anytime you know, a turn goes for, let's say, Nihilus or Scion or Sith Trooper or any other Sith on the team with her, she's going to dispel them and then deal damage to the opposing team, 5%. So that's why you see opposing teams continuously losing health against Treya, even though they weren't attacked. And that's because Treya is just, you know, slowly defeating the opposing team and cleansing her team in the process. I mean, hands down, the best Zeta in the game, the best unique, at least in the game.
Yeah.
You know, you know, she's just slowly depleting the opposing team with every turn of your opponent's team. So it's absolutely great, and yeah, overall the unique is just fantastic.
Well, it just renders any sort of debuff composition you want to use against Treya pretty much useless. You can't debuff the team unless you figure out some way to, you know, basically clock like Plague Bearer, like Talzin. Like basically, if you can clock her Plague and then land all your debuffs and somehow magically keep that rotation going, that's pretty much the only way you're going to stick debuffs on a Treya team. So it basically renders many of the comps pretty much useless. Like that new Karth team, that team's really not going to cut it versus Treya. Like, you know, like any sort of Empire team, a Palpatine team, it's tough to go in against a Treya team with Treya because of the debuffs constantly being removed. So it's very, very good, and it affects the entire Sith faction, any Sith. So it's very, very useful in that regard.
Absolutely. Who's our honorable mention here, Maurice?
It's going to be Talzin, Plague Bearer. Just because, regardless of whether you go the Asajj route or whether you go the Talzin lead, whichever you prefer, this Zeta fits both. It just gets Talzin going more often. The more often she goes, the more Plague she lands. You know, the more stacks she can add to existing Plague, just the more damage she does overall. Especially in the case of like Zombie, where she's constantly getting below 50% health. Talzin's getting lots and lots of turns. You see this especially in P4, the Sith raid. She deals a lot of damage in that environment because she gets to go so often, especially when you get those stacks going. It'll pull characters down below 50% health. She'll get to go. And, just overall, just a great, great Zeta. If you have any sort of Night Sister team, this is probably, you want to pick a leader, and then this should probably be your second Zeta. Now they've tweaked Zombie. Rampage isn't quite as impactful as it used to be on Asajj. This is definitely my choice for the second Zeta on any Night Sister team.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and the turn meter bonus is a huge, bonus for her. Obviously, you want Talzin to go as much as possible, continue to stick Plague on your opponents, and, obviously at the start of each turn or each enemy turn, if they're plagued, Talzin inflicts another Plague on a random enemy. So if you're not facing against a Treya team, that team for the most part, unless they have a cleanse, this work even with let's say a team that has tenacity up. So let's say somebody's plagued, and the rest of the characters have tenacity up. Will she still inflict Plague on someone else? Maurice, you would probably know this question. I guess we lost.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was muted. Yeah. Well, her leadership, I think her leadership is I think the Plague from anytime you use a special ability, I think that might be unresistible. But besides that, it's not gonna I mean, plague can still be resisted, but the plague bearer just gives her the turn meter whenever one of your allies gets below, X amount of health.
Yeah, and
so
I agree, Piano Jonathan. The Veers Zeta is very good, and it does help out in dark side territory battles. But again, there's not many teams where you're going to be really running Veers, especially in comparison to the effectiveness with the effectiveness of, let's say, a Night Sister team. I mean, a Night Sister team
right.
pretty much.
Well, I mean, you've got tons of. I mean, this list could easily be 10, 15 characters long. It's really difficult making it 6. I mean, you've got characters like Jedi Training Ray, Barriss. I mean, these characters didn't even make the cut. Like, these are great characters, and I mean, Asajj, Rampage. That's another unique in the Night Sister faction that could technically be on this team or on this list. So, Vandor Chewbacca is one that's just. I mean, the lots of great options that didn't make the list just because we can only put 6 people on it. Veers would definitely be a top 10 choice.
And definitely Farm Boy Luke would be ahead of Veers as well.
Yeah, Farm Boy Luke didn't quite make the
cut. But that's our top 5 for the week, guys. If you do like that kind of thing, please leave us a like on the video and do subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to click on that bell icon to get notifications when we go live. So, what we're going to do is we're going to get back into some gameplay here. And while we do that, this is typically that time of the show, as we're wrapping up here, where we're going to take your questions, comments, and topics. So if you guys have any questions you'd like to have asked on the stream, we've probably compiled a couple already. But any topics you'd like to discuss, now's the time. Please do type them into the chat so Maurice can scoop them up, and we'll try to address those now before we wrap it up.
All right, first one, and there's been a lot of chatter about this in the chat. This one, Hans Omar Von Harold Duerte asks, how does B1 and Asajj, and basically he's asking if B1 triggers Asajj's Rampage ability, and there's people earlier in the chat talking about Veers against B1. The only time B1 is going to affect any sort of mechanic that increases something, decreases something, gives whatever the case may be when something dies, excuse me, is it when B1 loses all of his stacks and is actually defeated. It should not affect Asajj's Rampage. It should not affect Grievous's new ability. It shouldn't affect the Imperial Troopers, give them turn meter like Snow Trooper. It shouldn't affect anything at all when he's just going down and popping back up. That's what my understanding of it is. I haven't played with him really at all to really test things out, but I mean that's the way I'm under the impression it shouldn't affect anything until he's down and out, like the last stack of whatever that's called, droid battalion or what, I forget the blue icon above his head.
Battalion, yeah.
Let's see. But again, if somebody's tested it in the chat, then by all means correct me. But that's what my understanding. Let's see. Okay, this is one good one for everyone here. What's the best resistance team with a Finn lead? I guess the new Finn.
With the new Finn? Oh. I don't know. I mean,
oh no, yeah.
It's pretty much going to be the same team you'd probably run under the old Finn. It's just a little bit different. He's not going to be giving 35% turn meter now. He's been giving a percentage based on the number of resistance allies, which is going to be less, but it's also going to remove turn meter from the exposed enemy. A lot of people are...
Yeah, Finn was talking about this during the live stream today. One of the teams we're kind of thinking of the comps is to move Holdo to the Finn lead because of her AoE, because you're trying to hit those exposures right and get more damage along with R2. So it's gonna. I think one thing that we came to a consensus on was there's going to be a little bit of a shakeup in lineup with Zeta Finn. It's still going to be solid, but how you use them is going to be totally different, and the lineup you're going to use is going to be totally different than what it is now. And I think that's the biggest thing. It'll still be good, but you're right. It's going to take more of a team effort in that lineup with different characters doing different things to make it really work because of the term difference that they implemented.
Most importantly, let me look at the numbers. Basically, I do not think Resistance Trooper is going to immediately go second every time. So the old trusty, don't put any speed on Resistance Trooper. You might have to put some speed on Resistance Trooper now. You have to mod them a little differently, but really, whatever you've used in your light side territory battles, whatever you use in PW, it should still work. That's the good point with Holdo, because there's really not room for error now. There's not all that 35% turn meter across the board. So, like, if your Poe leads and he exposes people, not named Crew or Bosk or whatever you're facing, like if he taunts somebody behind a taunt, you really do have to hit that. That's a good point. Holdo's good for sure. I was secretly hoping that Rose would get a little love out of this rework. It doesn't really seem that she really gets a big boost from it. It seems to be pretty much the same mechanic, just a little different. Finn's kit itself, the leadership is definitely a bit of a downgrade, but his kit overall is much, much better than what it was before. Because he's kind of a lame duck before. He didn't really do much, but his basic attack does like stacking damage now. Like, so if you are going against Crew, instead of doing bonus damage the first time you hit Crew, it will have 5% more damage for each time you hit him. So you will, that was part of the problem with Crew team. It was really difficult to take down Kylo Ren unmasked, especially if you're not using like Scavenger Ray. There was really not much damage on that team to get through his health steal and his regeneration and whatnot. So this will help in that. And he's got the taunt now that he gives himself, that little bonus buff that he gives himself. I'm not even sure what it's called. It's brand new, but it'll be interesting. I look forward to seeing what people do with it. I'm a little surprised, only because they set the precedent that they'll give Zetas back on Daka and they gave it back on Barriss. Because this is such an old Zeta, I'd be shocked if 80 to 90% of the people that have this Zeta had it before C-3PO was even mentioned in this game. So I mean, it is one that people have had for a long time, but it's not the end of the world. A lot of people are upset about it, but I think once they get in there and play with it, they'll realize that it's really still very, very useful and a very, very good Zeta. I would still recommend it to people.
Let's call it what it is. This is horrible. Okay, and the thing is that it's just, what's disappointing about it to me is that I feel like Finn finally had like a purpose, and it's like not that he wasn't already good, but he was finally like really good. And I don't know. I feel like this kind of puts a damper on that, and I don't know. I'm not going to use them anymore, and that stinks, And I feel like they could have gone a different route with this. To be honest with you, I mean, and again, I'm not saying that. Listen, I mean, not every decision that's made in the game is going to be one that I love. I mean, some are great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, some I love and I'm a super fan of. This is one of them that I'm not. And I felt like if they wanted to fix this, the route to go was to fix the raid. The raid is not... Now, I understand when the raid first comes out, okay, and it's endgame content, and, they want it to be, super hard, and they don't want to do any tweaks to it because they've already tested it for months. Then I get it. I mean, then, okay, you nerf the character because the raid is a bigger deal. This is not a new raid. Okay, this raid has been out for a year now. Okay, it's not... I mean, listen, I know there are people that still have a lot of tough time with it. It's not the easiest raid. It's not an easy raid by any means. But, a lot of the, higher tier guilds are beating this raid with no problem. I mean, we clear this raid with, with 15 people, 10 people. You know what I'm saying? And most people don't participate. So it's like, it's one of those things where, I don't know, I just feel like, I would have been a lot happier with, a tweak to the raid than a tweak to Finn. You know, because that's taken away a character that we can use in Grand Arena, taking away a character we can use in TW, taking away a character that honestly I bought out of a pack, and there was a deal like a long time ago for Kylo Ren and Finn. I bought that pack. You know what I'm saying? I bought the Force Awakens bundle, and I mean, listen, I got some use out of Finn. He was great for a while. But I don't know. I just feel like if they were going to make a choice on which route to go here, and it was either make some tweaks to Traya and make her kind of immune to the effects of this C-3PO Finn team, I think that they could have done something with that that would have been a little bit more satisfying to the players out there that really love Zeta Finn and the way that team worked. And I know there's a lot of people that swear by that team. I mean, Grandmaster Broda is probably crying right now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the problem was C-3PO, and they gave him that ridiculous ability that gave the Rebels an expose on their basic. That's what the problem was. It had nothing to do with Finn. It had to do with that mechanic that just so happened to kind of basically you could tag team Resistance and Rebels now. If anything, I mean, I know C-3PO is the new character. A lot of people really, geared up their Ewoks, invested in their Ewok team. Anyone that has C-3PO, if you look at somebody's roster in Grand Arena and they have a 7-star C-3PO, you can go ahead and bet that they at least have Gear 11 Ewoks at a bare minimum. But like, that was cheesy. but they really should just. I mean, a way to fix this would have been to remove the expose element on Rebels and just give them some extra damage or something. That I mean, it wouldn't be as much as an expose, but it would be a way to solve it without messing up anything existing in the game. I can understand maybe the Sith mechanic. I'm sure they did try to go fix the raid route, but you're talking about mechanics that interact with the other 160 some odd characters in the game. They fix something and break something else. Maybe I'm not sure. I have no idea, but they could have gone a different route, I think, to resolve it.
I agree. Yeah, they didn't need to go directly for Finn. There's just so many other things that they could have sat down and worked out around it to where it wasn't such a big impact on that. And that just kind of, you get so used to working a character a certain way, and then they change the aspect of that character on how that character works. And no matter what, it still takes a little while to get used to what this new mechanic is and the new talent is, or whatever it is that they manage to do to it. So I don't know. I haven't used Finn lately, but I don't know. I'm just less likely to even use him more now.
What upsets me about it is that this is exactly what I thought they were going to do, and it was like a nightmare scenario. Was like them, nerfing Finn's leader, and that was like the only thing that out of this that I didn't want to happen. And it's it's just kind of like I expected this. I'm saying, don't get me wrong. I mean, I was thinking to myself like, man, I really hope that they don't change Finn's leader. It's like one of the best leaders in the game. And when they were talking about fixing that mechanic, I thought to myself, like, man, I hope if anything that they fix, they don't change Finn's leader, because that really affects a whole team. It doesn't affect just one character; it affects a whole team.
Right.
And it's just a bummer, because I did expect it, but I was really just hoping that they were going to find another way to resolve the issue, and I feel like they could have. If maybe they put a little bit more time into just trying to figure out a way to fix the raid. But again, they have other priorities. This is not number one by any means. I'm sure they're working on a million other things right now. So, it's probably this is probably just the easiest way to get it to, to be not a problem anymore and just kind of move on, Do we have any more questions, Maurice?
Yes, we have a few. Zachary Robinson, who is the best Jedi tank?
General Kenobi.
Yes, General Kenobi. Who is
Kenobi?
Who is the second best Jedi tank?
Chulani.
Do you think so? I haven't had a chance to use her yet.
I would say it's either Juhani or it's Old Ben, right? And Old Ben is really, really good. Don't get me wrong. I know some people are going to think maybe it could be Kanan, and listen, there is some behind in a Revan team or on some different compositions, Kanan actually is okay. But if you think about all the utility that a character brings to the team, like for example with Old Ben, you have the benefits when he dies. You have the mind tricks, which is a great ability, and then he also has that taunt and that Zeta that gives him an extra turn of taunt, right? Even if it's dispelled. So that he's a great tank. Don't get me wrong, but I think that right now, if you had to ask me, just again, I don't have a 7-star Gear 12 Juhani, so I'm just speaking from what I think on paper. I think it's Kenobi and then Juhani. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. I hate to say Old Ben. I really hate to say Old Ben. But, yeah. Next question?
Yep.
Piano Jonathan. Worth Zating a low-star Gear 11 nest?
Yes.
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 Absolutely. Star level, gear level. Gear level, obviously, you want some probably Gear 11 regardless of the star, but just the allowing to bypass the taunt is definitely worth the 20 Zetas, regardless of.
That Zeta is so awesome, and
Yeah.
she's still viable at 4 stars. Here's my 4-star Zeta nest. You can check it out right here. Oh, that's Jitter, so damn it. There she is. Yeah, I got that $10 pack, and I threw a Zeta on her, and I haven't looked back. I am, obviously going to get her to 7 stars eventually, for those of you wondering. Okay, but there's just so many things in that ship store now. The ship nodes. I mean, you have Anakin's ship in there. Right now I'm farming for double my money by getting the Lando ship and Lando combo. So I want to get that done because I just want to get Lando finished and get the Lando's Millennium Falcon. Anytime a node comes out with 2 characters or 2 types of shards on one node, you got to go for that. But then after that, I mean, I was going to go for Amphi's, and now that Anakin's ship is here, going for Anakin's ship. And then if an Old Republic character or somebody else gets thrown on there, I'm going for that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I keep getting taken away from Amphi's nest, even though she's such an important character. But absolutely worth a Zeta, even at 3 or 4 stars.
All right. We do have... Oh, we got a couple more, both from Josue Garcia. The first, does the Droidica seem a bit small to y'all, or is it just me?
Well...
No, looks right.
Looks about right. Droidica wasn't huge. Droidica's
there we go.
Small droid. I was really hoping... I mean... When you watched the video, did it have any rolling animations in the game?
To be honest, I don't know what the Droidica kit really is. All I know is that Arnold mentioned the immunity, the damage immunity. Just I didn't really pay much attention to what the Droidica did because then I just be like pretend like just speculating on a kit that we'll know in a few days probably anyway. So
No, I'm not talking about the kit. What I'm saying is when you saw the video of it in battle with them, did you see anything that looked?
Did it roll?
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. But no, I understand.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, I didn't notice either.
I noticed Grievous getting on all 4s.
I hope it does.
Getting gangster with it.
Yeah, he did. He did. But I really hope that Droidica has like some sort of a rolling.
He did. He said it rolled in the chat here.
Okay.
His second one is, which faction will be the next to be reworked? clones. I'm saying clones. If they stick to this,
I hope it's clones. I really do. I miss my clone boys.
That would be so cool if they rework clones, and that would make a lot of sense too, being that the Clone Wars thing has come in. And
Man, they'd be really bad if they still had the bonuses if they got reworked. Oh my god.
I tell you what, it's been like we in our guild we got like a bunch of old vets, right? So all of us have the clones. I tell you what, these TWs when they boost the clones, that gives us a huge boost. Like it's helped. I'm not sure we've lost a TW with these boosted clones just because we all have them. Because we all used to try to solo P4 2.5 years ago with the tank raid because that was the team.
Oh, that was the team. Yes.
Yeah, so that's that would definitely help us as a guild tremendously because that's something we do have that really doesn't do any good except when they boost them once a blue moon for TW. So
yeah, I hope that they boost the droids. I mean the clones, and I think that just kind of thinking about the rest of the year here a little bit. I think you have to think about the fact that yes, they probably will do that, but we got this movie coming up later this year, so I feel like there's going to be a large ramp up to this movie, and I've said this a few times. I feel like there's going to be I think we're going to start to get characters. I think we're going to start to see commercials. I think they're going to start to advertise it in game, and they're going to start prepping for this movie probably September, end of summer. So we only have really a couple of months until it becomes like episode 9 time, right? So that's just what I think. But
well, Hans in the chat makes a good point too. I mean, they could just stick with the Separatist faction. He's asking, what if they added Geonosian Queen, like in the Rebels episode? That is something they could definitely do. And just kind of continue with the Separatist theme and get yourself 2 good Separatist teams going on.
Yeah, get yourself some Geonosians in there.
I think Raven. Yeah. I think Ranger just had a conniption when he said Geonosian Queen.
It's not that important of a character. Don't do it. Because the Geonosians were wiped out. All right, they nerve gassed them all. Let's move on.
They still haven't really explained how that happened. Like they
What do you mean? They outbuilt the Death Star with the plans of the initial stuff that they needed, and then they went in there and genocided them. What more do you need to know?
I know that they genocided them, but they never really explained how that happened. They just explained that.
Well, they really don't want to talk about that on Disney. They don't really want to go into the depth. Like, this is what the Empire really was like. I mean, they kind of covered it in that one Rebels episode where they kind of discussed it and stuff, but it was kind of like vague a little bit. They figured out what, some of the stuff, but they didn't really want to go into too much detail about that.
You saw a few things, right? Like the gas and stuff like that, mm-hmm. But you don't really know exactly what happened.
Yeah, they basically obliterated them, and it's not the only planet and race that the Empire.
So sad for the Geonosians.
Well, that's what happens when you make a deal with the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they need a whole Geo team.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have Geonosian General or something like that. That'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need a really good Geonosian leader. Poggle the Lesser is not it. I'll tell you that. But
yeah.
Same with the Tuskens. Eventually we're gonna get some Tusken love too at some point.
Yeah, well, Poggle, if he was better, they could have called him Poggle the More, but instead he's Poggle the Lesser. So.
Is that it, Maurice?
We had one more trickle in here towards the end that I did not write down, but it's here. Well, what faction? We answered that one, didn't we? What faction will get reworked next? And we kind of answered the Geonosian Queen here. So I think one more quick scan. I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. We already answered the like Rampage B1 mechanic thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it, guys.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here then. We're going to call it a stream. I appreciate everybody that hung out with us on this Monday night. We decided to go no music tonight because some people had requested it. So, I just, plus it was good to have Ranger here, so we were able to kind of, keep the chat pretty vivacious. So I don't think we missed the music at all. But I'm glad that everybody was able to hang out with us. We had a great time. Hope you guys enjoyed it too. For those of you catching it on the replay, please do leave us your feedback, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week with some more info about the Droidica and whatever we can gather about that, and obviously we'll get possibly our hands on General Grievous in the next few days. Get a chance to test that out. Whenever we do get Grievous rework, I'll have him at Gear 12 and we'll test it out a little bit and just kind of see what he can do. But as usual, I appreciate everybody that joined us tonight. Thank you, Ranger. Thank you, Avi. Thank you, GOM, as usual. And we'll see you guys on the next one. May the Force be with you.